This is the Moron Rants podcast with Matt Lamont and Andrew Dees, episode number 4, released Friday the 21st of May, 2021. So we're back with another episode of Moron Rants. As always, it's myself and Mr Andrew Dees.
Hello.
Here he is, but on this special occasion, as long as Teams allows us, fingers crossed, we have a special guest joining us, and you can determine how special when you speak to him or when you hear from him. It is Daniel Laing himself. Here he is.
Good evening, Mr. Lamont. Thanks for having me.
It's pronounced Lamont. You're very good for getting that. It's not Lamont.
You and your pronunciations.
Oh dear. Well, it's one of the names I've got to spell out after I say it because nobody can spell it. I've been so you've just got to, and I've just ever since speaking to Daniel, I've figured I'll just be hyacinths and I'll go with it's Lamont, and it's pronounced bouquet, no bucket.
There was me coming on with my deerstalker hat and everything this afternoon. I thought, I don't want to outshadow you, Mr. Lamont, you know, so I just come in my normal Sunday best.
Oh dear. There's a couple of tangents, but let's not go down any of them.
You and your ensemble.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want to upset you with curtains or anything. Anyway, so we'll probably have this episode as a wee bit different. So normally me and Dees go through random moron stories of the week, and then at the end we have a moron of the week who was the worst, basically, or what story was the most ridiculous. But since we've got a guest on this episode, I'm going to just take the opportunity to moan about a couple of things that just annoys me. Dees, well, no matter, he'll say what he says as always, and I'll just disregard it most likely.
Cheers. Hold on a minute here, right? We've had 2 perfect episodes. It's been really nice. It's done all right. Now you've got a guest on the show, and you're like, Kim, what? I'm going to take the piss out of these. Literally just on what, 2 minutes in?
Well,
this just isn't on, Mr. Lamont.
I can't take the risk when it's just me and you, because if you leave, it's just me. I can't take the risk of insulting anybody. Oh dear. We can edit that bit out. So I'll moan about stuff, Dees will moan about stuff, and then you never know, Daniel might want to moan about something too, or he might just want to moan about having to listen to us moan about stuff. Every chance. So what we should tell you is we did originally try to record this episode before, and the system completely crashed. So Dees has heard my rant already about Swift Direct blinds, but I feel it requires a retake because people have got to know.
It was some story. I will give you that.
And I will try to summarise it a wee bit so it's not quite as long, because I could go on for about 17, 18 minutes, which is almost how many months it took to get my fucking blinds, but not quite that bad. So we moved into our new house round about Christmas, and being a new build, you do get nothing. You do get light bulbs, you do get carpet, you do get fuck all. So no blinds. Every time I've rented a flat or we bought our last flat, there was blinds included. So I had no idea you had to get your own blinds. So with the pandemic, obviously, couldn't go into a shop, had to just see what we could do online, and missed the one with the most Google reviews, or the one that looks the most, I don't know, reputable, is that the right word?
Yes, that's
the one that didn't seem to be like scumbag wankers trying to scam you, basically. Seemed to be Swift Direct blinds. And right at the start, I do want to say that after 3 months, roughly, we now have all the right blinds with all the right sizes, and the quality is superb. However, it has taken almost 3 months for that to be the situation. So we started off, because we're buying them online, I thought I will just buy one set just as a trial, see how it is. And they were relatively quick at coming, really good quality. However, they were about 40mm too short at the bottom. Now, 40mm doesn't seem a lot, but when you're talking about windows, 40mm is quite like 4 centimetres. It's a fair bit. Like if you can see it underneath in and out the window, it's not really serving its purpose as a blind. So we phoned the wee wifey, and wherever it is in England, English company. And in fairness, their customer service, maybe not the best quality control or no quality control, but they have tried their best at every turn to fix it. So she says, it's been an error on your part. They held their hands up and says, look, we'll send you, no cost, we'll send you another set out. thought, fair enough, and I did check at the time, so it's definitely your fault. I've double checked all my measurements. I've got another 4 sets to order. Am I good to go? Can I order the other 4? And she reassures me, absolutely, go for it. So, ordered the other 4 sets. The other 4 sets came along with the replacement set. The 4 sets were also 40mm too short, and the replacement set, this time 50mm too short, an additional 10mm too short. No, the best happy at that, obviously. So, communication with him again, sending me pictures back. I didn't ken why anybody would lie about that, especially when it was a known issue. So they figured out what the issue was. Their machine for cutting was taking 40mm off the top for the runner bar thing, but instead of just taking it off the ones, it was taking it off the bottom and the top, so causing an issue. So every customer that purchased blinds for them in this time was being affected by the same thing. Now, my point is, and correct me here if you disagree, but if this was a known issue for them, do you not think they should have contacted people and tried to make some kind of they just waited until people phoned them? There was nothing.
I suppose it depends on what kind of stuff they've got for doing all their blinds. If it's just been the one machine that's been doing them all, then you would ken. But if it's a couple of different machines and it's only the one that's wrong, and you maybe didn't ken who's had what sets.
I mean, so when we spoke to them, it's everybody who bought vertical blinds was affected. So I can understand you didn't send out communication to folk that has bought Venetian blinds or whatever else. But everybody that's bought vertical blinds for them has been impacted. So in my book, you should have contacted the people.
Aye, they could have preempted the potential emails coming in by going, we've realised we've made a mistake.
Or when I contacted them, phoned them and says, look, this is my issue, it's 40mm short. They know they've got an issue. Why then ask me to send tons of pictures to prove that that's the case? They know it's an issue on their end, and it's exactly the issue that they have encountered. So I'm really baffled as to how the quality
control. I thought you were a blind thief.
Obviously.
He's trying to screw us out of mere blinds.
He's got a reputation for things.
Aye. Lamont, no, that sounds like a dodgy name. He's maybe try to get extra blinds and sell them on the side.
I just have visions of you getting so fed up with this blind situation that eventually you just took this 4 million sets that you've got, sewed them together and stuck them up to cover your gap. I can just picture you with your wee knitting needles and trying to get that sorted. And
I posted individual slats fucking back with Royal Mail 1 by 1 to them with a fucking Joby stain on each one. No, but so that was just the start of the story. As I say, it does continue. So they sent us more replacements that were another 5 replacement sets that are all the wrong size. So still no any good to me. And then we got 3 sets the right size. No, sorry, 4 sets the right size, and the 5th set was the right size, but it had 1 slat wrong. So then they sent us an individual slat for that one, and then on the back of that, I got 3 sets that were the right size that were spare. So I've no idea what happened there, but ultimately it ended up, and each one of these was a different delivery for the worst delivery company ever, but that's a rant for another day. We must have ended up with 8 or 9 probably different sets of blinds that we have no use for. And Terry's doing them. I can't remember. She's either getting them at a charity shop or I don't know. But they're out of their house now. They've disappeared. The company didn't want them back. They're no use to me because they're all consistently the wrong size. If somebody had a window like 40mm shorter than mine, which would be utterly bizarre, they could have made use of them. But I don't know what's happening to them. But it just seems such a waste. I was happy to send them back. The company didn't want them. Probably because they'd be inundated with everybody sending thousands of these sets back that they keep sending it wrong. But just for me, it's
nobody can use.
Well, that's it. I mean, yes, it's no as if that minor wee bit of difference. Some folk would go, "Oh, that's acceptable." Like it's a big mess. But I just
think that there would be pausing orders or something like that. If other people are getting, or if it's been raised and they think there's an issue at my end and it's machines or whatever the reason is, you'd think they would start to pause orders rather than keep taking more and hoping that it's just going to be all right. That seems a bit manic.
And why? And surely after the issue, you would quality control check some sizes before you send them out. You've known you've had an issue, you think you fixed the issue, so you just go and making new orders and sending them out like it's fixed. Surely somebody should have done some tests and went, well, actually, we've just ran 10 sets of blinds and they're all 40 mil still too short. Because this didn't happen over the course of a week. This happened for the start of February, and it was only the end of April. End of April that we got it solved. So, really frustrating. The only thing I can say is the quality is superb. They're really nice blinds. They can't fault them for like being good enough customer service to deal with it all in the end. But for me, can't recommend them. You'll get nice blinds, but it might take you 3 months to get them.
The biggest disappointment of this story for me is the fact that they're out your house and been to I had this image of you standing on the street corner going, blinds, get your blinds, 2 for a pound, 2 for a pound.
Opening up his flasher coat and there's his blinds inside, just trying to sell them off on the street corners.
You didn't want him opening up that coat.
Well, you get what I'm like. I'm not a hoarder of stuff. I would just skip the fucking lot because they're not in my opinion, they're not yes to anybody. I'm going to try to sell them. If somebody had a use for them, they were quite happy to take them, and I've no idea what the hell he done with them. But all I care is they're now gone from my house, and that's all I'm most concerned about. Apart from the 3 spare sets that came the right size, I'm keeping them for spares, obviously, because I'm certainly no fucking having to buy any more for them if any gets damaged.
So what we can take for this news is that you've got 3 spare sets of blinds, so when the restrictions lift, we could actually just smash somebody head first through your blinds because you can have got a replacement set in the house.
But I've not got a replacement set of windies, to be fair, so it's maybe a bit extreme. I don't know.
We'll see.
I didn't really see where your mind goes to there. See, what I thought was I've got 3 spare sets. If anything should happen, like, I don't know.
That's some idiot putting somebody else through your blinds.
No, I'm always more thinking one gets ripped or like the sun fades it. No, some walloper D's comes round to my house and tries to throw somebody through my window into the blinds. That's not quite the case scenario I was like predicted. But
lockdown's had a funny effect on folk. You never know.
No, and then you try and claim it's lockdown. You've had a funny effect since you've been fucking born. That's why we got on so well. To be fair, that's why we got on so well. Oh dear. So that's the tale of my blinds. It's really frustrated me. It's been the most annoying thing probably that's happened this year, apart from COVID, obviously. Although that could really technically be called last year, but
would you recommend them?
The thing is, I'd like to for the quality. I really would.
Because assuming they fixed that issue, the chances are.
Well, you want to think.
You never say never, but chances are it's unlikely to happen.
If you didn't mind waiting a reasonable period of time, anything up to 3 months, then I'd probably go for it. Would recommend them. However, no, really.
Did you leave them a review? Because usually it was
No. The thing is, all the way through this, every week I was getting an email from Trustpilot asking me to put a review, and the reason I didn't put a review is because they were trying to fix it and the quality is really good, and I didn't want to be one of the wallopers that just gives them a 0-star review because I was annoyed, but it's difficult. I wouldn't recommend them, but purely just because of the experience we've had and anybody else that bought vertical blinds between February and April, apparently. So, no, I do recommend unless you've got some time to wait. To be honest, would I buy online again? Probably no. It's one of the things I'd prefer to just have went into a shop to get. I'm very modern. I like ordering stuff online. I'm fucking Mr. Amazon. But things like that, I'd probably like to have went into a shop.
Certain things you want to go in and actually see in person. Like blinds or curtains, maybe.
I didn't start building curtains. We've not got them done yet.
Oh, Jesus. That's another week.
Oh, God. Well, no, it'll take me more than a week to get them. You mean the complaint? We'll talk about that another week. Once I've actually got the curtains going.
And of course, you've got to make sure the curtains are the best of gear. I mean, I don't want to be coming into your house and looking at a whole pile of shitey curtains on your window.
Well,
These is maybe trying to run somebody through their blinds. So
we did sort of mention that at the start of the podcast that you were quite thingy with curtains, but what we didn't explain the backstory to that is that when Daniel looks to book a holiday someplace, he does not book a place if the curtains are not to his satisfaction. So that is a long running sort of inside joke that Daniel likes an ensemble of curtains before he goes on holiday. That's one he's checked. He doesn't check what curtains say or Trustpilot ratings or what's around any bars or anything around it. No, let me know about the curtains.
I just want a good night's sleep at night. I didn't want to be looking at somebody's floral curtains that are absolutely disgusting. So, testing all that, I would expect Mr. Lamont, being as posh as you are, that you would be in a similar position. But who knows? I have to say, I think my curtain reviews has actually picked quite nice places.
What I was going to say, Daniel, you must take good eyesight when you're sleeping, because when I'm trying to sleep and it's dark, I can't really see the curtains.
But he knows they're there. He knows.
Exactly.
He knows that's got a floral pattern. That's why he's kept awake at night.
I can't get to sleep for the stupid glare coming through the big floral print on these hideous curtains that are from 1965 that should have been left in 1965.
Oh dear.
You must be the only person weekend that has nightmares about curtains.
What can I
This
say?
wasn't even part of the plan for the podcast. This just went off the rails.
Yeah. I'll get us back on track.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Well, obviously, as we're recording this, we're at the start of May now. But April was it was the coldest. Let's see if I get this right now. It was the third coldest April we've had in the UK since records began.
Need you to actually go and look that up.
Yeah, I seen it in the news, as you do when you're looking at the news in lunch hour. And also, apparently, it's the lowest minimum average temperature that we've had in almost 100 years. Now, with all that going on, Kenny used to explain to me how the hell I managed to get sunburnt during this ridiculously cold month. I went away for a wander to Lower Largo about 10 days ago now, and it was maybe a broad day, but given when you're leaving the house and you're looking, it's quite dark outside. They look like rain clouds. So I even tin a cagoule in a bag.
A cagoule?
Aye, wandering. But it did turn out to be a broad day. Sun came out for a few hours. It was only about maybe 12 degrees at Mist. Wasn't that warm. Had the jumper on most of the time. Go to the beach at Lower Largo. Thought I'll sit in the sun for a wee bit. With my jumper off. And I turned out pure beetroot at one point. When I got him and seen myself in the mirror about an hour after I'd been in the house, and I was just bright red in my arms and my face. How? I didn't think when I was leaving my house in mid-April. It would be mid to end April that I would need my sunscreen.
I have to say, Dees, if you were like me and being like of the ginger persuasion, I would totally understand that. Some of us have to protect ourselves as much as we can for the sunshine. So, but that's impressive that it was, very little temperatures and you still ended up like a red traffic light. That's pretty smashing.
See, I'm a lazy bastard. I just didn't even leave the house. No sun. I didn't want to see the outdoors. I'm no interested. I put my feet up on the couch. That was me.
Well, I did wonder. I've not been out out for that long in a while. I think since probably about September. So I do wonder if I've maybe not been out enough. Sun's not had that much exposure to sunlight.
You do look a wee bit like the Milky Bar Kid or Casper the Ghost. Normal size.
Fridge coming for you. Feel like an albino.
That's because I keep myself off the sunbeds, you see. That's no for me. You see Daniel doing there every weekend.
You look like a vampire that's been starved.
Oh dear. Oh God. Oh.
Aye, that was my wee gripe for April. That was just. So actually, when I went out the next day, I actually located the sun cream that I had. It's probably not been opened since the last time I was abroad. So God knows when that was. It'd be more than a year. And I put sun cream on the next day when I went outside, just in case.
Are you the reason that we are now getting hailstones and everything else? Have you been like praying to the big man up the stairs and saying, "No more sunshine because I can't cope with being this red in the face, so let's have some hailstones"?
Oh no, I was kind of open. I did say like I've got the sun screen looked out, so I'm ready to go now. The good weather's gonna be fine. And then I think it was that's maybe what stamped at the gods and went, Kim, what? We're just gonna set you back a few weeks. So here's some hailstone, here's some rain, here's some snow.
To be fair,
Should
I
have
was
kept
looking
a lid on that.
forward. I was looking forward to the day to put my washing out. I seen the sun out. I've not had washed out for a couple of days. I thought I'll put it washed on. By the time the washing was done, it was fucking hailstones. I could do hee-haw. They used anybody. So, is it put you off going out in May, or are you still got the sun cream ready at the front door, good to go? Can we dug well lead?
The sun cream's in a more easy reachable location now, but it's no quite at the front of the door for going out.
Is it next to the bed is where you keep it now?
That's the caring about your lotion set up next to your bed. So leave that up to you.
Oh dear. Oh, let's just move that one right along.
We don't know what to explain further on that, eh? No.
No. We'll just trust that you've got a responsible location for your sun cream. Not leave it at that.
It's actually my wee travel bag that I take abroad. It's actually still in there, so.
That's better to be stoury and dusty at this point. Nobody's been abroad in ages.
Yeah, it's in a drawer.
Christ, I've no idea where my passport is. Not a clue.
You'll need that eventually.
I know. I've no idea where it is. This was the part of my plan to discuss this, but
this is where you find out. Did I leave that in the drawer before I moved out?
oh dear. Well, so me and Terry were talking the other day because I'm quite into technology, and these Apple AirTag things have come out, and I've been debating back and forward with myself whether I'm going to buy one because I genuinely didn't lose stuff, and the whole idea is you put it on your keys or something you lose, and then you can find it. So I come to the conclusion, like, I don't know, yesterday, that I'm not going to buy them as much as I like technology and stuff. But I didn't lose my keys because they're always in my fucking pocket. That's just where I keep them. So I'm not going to buy one. However, I should have had one back about a year ago, and I could have put one in my passport and found it with that. But
maybe put one in your marbles.
Oh, Christ, that was long before Apple was even a fucking company that I lost them. But I now have a use for them. I could get one and put it in my passport and justify buying one just for that.
Or just keep your passport in a safe place.
Well, I have to find it first. To be fair, Terry might have it. So I don't know. No idea where it is. Didn't book anything soon anyway till I've relocated or renewed my passport.
That's one I'll hate to get done actually. Get my passport renewed.
Okay, this year mine runs out, I think. Either this year or next year, I can't remember, but it's soon.
Mine's in September, so.
I'm hopefully 2025. I think the last 10 years, eh?
Aye.
So as long as I can find it, mine's has got a good couple of years left on it.
You definitely want to find it then.
Anyway, we've had a wee bit of a moan each. Let's pass it over to Daniel to take us away and what's annoying him. Hopefully it's not us. Well, it probably is us, but hopefully he's got to talk about someone else.
Well, what can I say? I have to go back to a customer service thing. So you've had maybe a good experience with customer service, whereas I have quite the opposite. Put you in the picture. So, as most people know, Virgin Media probably don't have the best of reputations. However, probably the best of the bad bunch is the plan. So I've last week or so, a couple of weeks or so, I've had non-stop on-off broadband issues, which is ideal for working from home. So I did the routine thing and switched it on and off again, whatever else that they're supposed to do. None of that worked. So I phoned the lovely people at Virgin Media who tells me, The reason that you're having issues is because your router is located next to your television. Now, my router has been located next to my television for 2 years, and I've never had the same issues that I'm having now. To which then the guy hung up on me because he couldn't rebuttal my argument, and that was quite impressive. So I phones him back, or he phones me back, should I say, because he's got a duty to phone me back apparently. But so I
Duty
get
of
the same.
care.
Yes, so I get the same arsehole that I've spoken to beforehand. And he then tells me, oh, yes, the reason, so if it's not the telly issue, it's because it needs to be in a well ventilated room, which it has been. It's been in the same room for 2 years, and it's never had any of those issues. The problem is that they just didn't want to admit that it's actually their shitey service that is causing most of the issues. I have to say, in recent days, it seems to have improved a little, and I'm quite happy about that. But one thing I will need to do is be phoning them back up again to put my complaint in, because I feel like I'll just be as well talking to the brick wall. And so, from good customer service to bad, I would have to say that's where I would go. And one thing I can't stand is bad customer service.
I was going to say there'd be a slight sense of irony here if you just cut out halfway through telling that story.
My question would be, so you've not changed the place that the router's in, and you've not changed the ventilation. Have you in fact changed the curtains in the last 2 years?
Well, funny you say that. I have actually. However, having new curtains and whatever else actually has made it a wee bit lighter in the room, so it should be a bit more bright and whatever else should I need to get access to the router. Or it could be more the more sensible approach is the equipment is just utter shite. That's what I think.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that it's more lighter. Did you think the router was scared of the dark?
You'd be surprised at the excuses I probably would have heard.
Well,
and I would have loved
maybe.
to have chatted to that guy all day, because I'm sure I could have went on and on about it all day.
He's maybe got a solar panel on his router. Maybe needs the light.
Yeah.
But would highly not recommend them. If that's, in fact, as soon as my time is up, they are going. Ironically, Vodafone must be aware of my situation, because they keep writing to me to tell me that they have got perfect offers that I could take up. Not that I will be, because that's probably just as bad. But yeah, at least the main thing is I have options. So that's my moan for the week.
I tell you, so we were with Virgin Media for a long time. And any time I had the same issue where you try to phone up and get them to fix things, it was always, oh, well, it's something you've done wrong. But the wee knack I found, so as soon as I spoke to the guy and complained, I went on to Google and then just started typing BT offers and things like that. And it's funny, the speed of my internet went up about 50% rather quickly when I started searching about for offers for BT and for whatever else, I can't even mind, Talk or whatever. So I'll give that a try and see if that has any effect.
I'll bear that in mind. I've got that on my notepad, so just in case.
Your internet starts to get slow, just start typing, oh, speed check for BT internet. And you're suddenly, oh, somebody at Virgin Media is paying attention. Oh, Christ, he's got to leave. Fuck, hurry up.
I've got an image of somebody just monitoring a PC all day, just looking for searching for stuff like that. So a wee warning message appears. Daniel Laing searching for BT offers. Well, give him a wee extra boost.
It's funny you say that. I don't believe that they're not. Obviously, there will only be a person, but I would bet you that they've got a system in place somewhere that does keyword searches, and I wouldn't put it past them to be watching out for that type of traffic and then to go, oh no, quick, prioritise him or his neighbour or whatever for 5 minutes just so he gets better internet. So I bet you there is a system in place for that. I'm the cynical type, obviously, but if they've not done that, I've trademarked that idea. Virgin Media, you can come to me for that idea. That's exactly what it should be. There'll be an automated system. I guarantee it. There will be some sort of system like that. Oh dear. But Virgin Media, it's one of the things where you like people go on about, oh, BT is better than Sky and vice versa. It's no, it's through the phone line. The only difference with Virgin Media is obviously it's through cable and not the phone line. So it does tend to be more. No, in every case.
Is that like when BT say they've got the fastest internet going? There's really no,
Well,
because it's the same as Sky.
well, so in some cases they get away with. So when we moved into our new house, I was kind of gutted to start with it. There was no Virgin Media because cable is always better. However, BT are starting to roll out actual fibre and no through the phone line. So if you get BT fibre, then it is the fastest in the UK at the minute. But if you're through the phone line, then they're no any faster than Sky or TalkTalk or whoever else because it's coming through your phone line. It's the same speed as what you can get. They can't claim. That's how I didn't understand how Sky and TalkTalk can claim to be faster than each other. They all say they're faster than their competitors. How does that work? Like it's like saying we've got the same motorway that's limited to 70 mile an hour, but we're the fastest at 70. It can't possibly be. So that's just my rant on the back of that. Did we have something else that I was to complain about? I've forgotten that much at this point. Deez, do you have anything else? Will I try and find my marbles?
Oh, we'll be here all day. What I was going to say was there no a show on recently that the two of you were watching that you were...
Oh, is that what's coming up next? Right, that's a good call. Good, good prompt. So, obviously we record this a wee bit in advance, so by the time anybody listens to this, there shouldn't be any issue with spoilers, because if you've not watched it a couple of weeks after the final episode, then stop listening now or fast forward past this chapter of the podcast.
Aye, you wait to tell them what show it is first.
Oh, right, aye, that's a good point, actually. You're right.
Before you agree,
So-
if they want spoilers, then they listen to this bit, but you've not told them what show.
I thought you were a professional pair.
No, not at all. Have you not listened to episode 1?
The amount of times I have to keep him in check, Daniel, honestly.
I know. Cuthbert.
I still maintain. I think we need a vote on the website and Facebook. There's going to be a poll coming up. Is it Cuthbert or Cuthbert?
Cuthbert.
No, you are both ridiculous.
Just think, what do you say? Is it Cuthbertson or Cuthbertson for the surname?
I would say neither, because it's not got a surname. It's the Caterpillar.
No, I'm talking about the
Caterpillar.
surname. Because surely for a surname, it's either going to be it's Cuthbertson. Surely you would say.
No.
So you would say Mr. Cuthbertson. How are you doing?
Well, that was his name. I would.
Deez, you're going to blow his mind. Careful.
Oh, that was long gone. I tried to do a jigsaw back in 2016 and it blew my fucking brains out.
Anyway, your show.
Yes, so the show we're talking about is Line of Duty. We're 6 seasons in, 6 seasons in final, and season 6 has been the most recent one. What really annoyed me is it's 1 episode per week, so it's a pain in the arse because they've built it up. Like, there's a cliffhanger at the end of every episode. They've built it up, and it keeps building. Episode 2 builds episode, and by the very end, you're thinking, Jesus, this is going to be a right cracking last episode. And the letdown was, honestly, it was like getting a Russian hooker and finding out she's got a cock. It was just so destroying.
That's usually Thai you're thinking about there, no Russian.
Well, I don't know. You're saying Russian hookers can't have a cock.
Well,
exactly. A Thai you would expect it, with a Russian you wouldn't. That's how disappointing it was. So, but that's not the point anyway. The point is, it's so disappointing. Like, they've built up so much, and again, you should have seen it by now. So, spoilers potentially as we talk about this. But, and I should say, Deez has never seen this. So
I did hear there's something about bent coppers and something.
Well, that's what it's about. It's about he's interested in one thing and one thing only, and that is bent coppers, and that's what the programme's about. And they're bringing down this ring of corrupt police officers, and eventually, and there's sort of big build-up in previous seasons about catching like the ringleaders, so to speak, and then there's one outstanding. They've been searching them for 6 years, and it's well, we'll not say who it is, but it's a fucking idiot that's been in it since season 1 that he can't even tie his shoelaces. How could it possibly be him? So we expected, or we were hoping that all the questions that had been built up in the previous seasons and built up all the way through season 6 were going to be answered, and that's all the hype was going to be. Well, we're going to get answers, but we never got answers really. There were so many questions left unanswered that it was a letdown. The last episode, after 6, well, the first one was a bit shit, to be honest. But 2, 3, 5, and
5 good
6.
seasons.
No, the first episode of season 6. The first episode was a bit slow getting into it, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all really built up, and there was a lot of content. And then the last 7th episode was just kind of flat. There was no build up or any sort of big reveal. It was just meh.
Is it coming back for the next season? Do they try to leave it open for that? Like,
well, I mean, the BBC are basically saying it's the best viewing figures they've ever had for a drama or whatever slot it's in. So the BBC are obviously up for it, but the writer's very cryptic, so we don't know if it's coming back for a season 7. I would like
an article that had come out from. It wasn't necessarily the writer. Well, there was one from the writer as well, but apparently Sunday's episode was the most watched thing on the BBC for quite some time. And I have to say, if you've never seen it, Deez, I would recommend it. Season 1 to 5 is impressive.
I'm not new because you just told me it's fucking it ends quite a short way.
Season
1
to
to
5 was
if
good.
you just watch season 6 up to episode 6, and then
Did he watch the last episode?
Exactly. And at the end, I'll tell you my theory on what should have happened.
Is it not just around like finding out who some person called H is? That's
That's the last one. That is the last one.
I could have told you that right for the get-go. H was the blonde guy for Steps.
Yeah. Well, that's your comedy rating going off of fucking Apple Podcasts anyway. That's that crushed right.
Oh, you're looking for H. He's been there in plain sight for years.
Well, that is actually kind of what happened. It's no H Steps, but it was a guy that was in plain sight there for years, and he's just so it's so bad it can't be, and it's left certainly me going that can't be the case. I'm not believing it. I'm too suspicious that there has to be more to it, and then it tends to be a couple of years in between seasons, so it could potentially be 2 years before if a season 7 comes out. It could be potentially 2 years till we get that.
One of the things that come out of I'll not mention the person's name who it is, but the actor who plays that person, their article was talking about does the fans expect too much, which I thought was quite an interesting point, because naturally, and that's maybe what has happened, because I don't think Line of Duty is the only one recently that I've seen that's had a really poor or rubbish ending, and maybe it is because we're in this world now where we expect a bit more from the TV that we're getting, and I was like, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but certainly from Line of Duty's point of view, episode 1 of season 6 was absolutely gash. It was a slow and steady start, and then it really ramped up in the episodes to come, and then deflated. So it's like they've went on this roller coaster themselves, and it kind of just forgotten what they needed to do to achieve the point, and just lumbered on it. According to the writer, it was always intended that it was going to be someone from season 1 that was going to be H. No H from Steps, but so
5, 6, 7, 8.
Exactly. He didn't want it to be somebody who had just only been in it from maybe season 5 or whatever. And obviously, again, spoiler alert, but Carmichael was far too obvious, and that was what was in his statement. Was she fitted the profile, but the only reason that it wasn't her probably, was because she wasn't in it from season 1, and that would make it look a bit silly that she'd just come in for a season and she was automatically the head honcho. But it's an interesting point.
Do you think that's maybe what's pissed folk off then? I think she only been in this last season. Not last season.
Season 5 she started, yeah.
So she's just came in. It's kind of everything's pointed towards her, and then now they're saying it's somebody else who there's never been any indication that it could be them in the first place. Is that maybe what's pissed folk off?
I think it was just fell flat on its face. I think personally, we sat and watched it, and I thought, nothing's happened. Like in the whole hour that it was on, nothing happened. And I said right from the start, I'd have been disappointed if it was one of the main characters who turned out to be H. And I know there was a lot of theories going on around that. However, I think after seeing the ending. I would have preferred it if it was that, because at least it would have been a bit of closure. But I felt it was left wide open.
Oh,
For a season
I've
6,
got a theory for you. And Daniel kens my theory. But my theory is, and for anybody else that's listening, and I've convinced a few people so far, I think it's Steve. I think it's one of the main characters. I'm convinced it's him, and I'll tell you for why. So, this will not mean anything to you, Dees, because you've never seen the episode, but there is an episode in the last season where one of the guys that's in prison, they get him out because he's got some inside knowledge of who's the thing went right. And the only person in the van that he speaks to is
it's
Steve.
Steve.
It is Steve. It's the only person he speaks to, and he ends up dead. He doesn't talk to anybody else, but he ends up dead. That's not my only bit of thing. So at the end, when Kate and the Scottish lassie, can't mind her name. What's her name?
Joe Davidson.
Joe. Aye, Kate and Joe. They're in Steve's car, so they're doing a runner basically. They've just shot the corrupt boy, and they're doing a runner, and they've got Steve's car. And this Carmichael wife that's come into it, she's hunting them. Obviously, she gets a phone call with a location of where this car is. Now, for me, my question is, how does she ken that they're in Steve's car? The only person that could have known would be Steve, because she claims later on in the episode that all the AC-12 cars are tracked. Well, that's fair enough, but how did you ken they were in Steve's car?
I think Steve's maybe said.
It wasn't. It also was. If you remember back to the episode, it also wasn't his works car either. It was his own personal car. So it doesn't tie up for me. I think the only person that could have known that was Steve. I'm convinced it's Steve.
Big Steve's the candidate then.
It's in my mind. I'm set. He's behind all this. The way they've got away with it for 6 seasons and not being caught, somebody has to be in on it. Like somebody, obviously they're a police officer, but somebody is in the anti-corruption unit that's keeping them afloat, keeping them thinking. And I think it's him. He's one of the only ones that's been in AC-12 for the whole 6 seasons as well.
And
Kate's left a couple of times.
They've maybe just set up the Dafty boy.
Oh, I believe so. 100% has to be just a setup. I think we've got a while to go yet. And if they called it and announced, revealed it was Steve at the end of season 6, there's not going to be a season 7, is there? So I've still got a suspicion that this could go on a while, and that the actual ending will result in it being with Steve. The head boy of the head police, chief constable boy, he's just corrupt as well. I don't think there's any question to that. He just lies on TV, he lies about everything. In the very first episode, he's trying to get everybody that works for him to lie. And Steve doesn't he? He's a part of his team, so they're both also linked for the very beginning. And it makes it look like, Steve's no up for this corruption and this lie. He's went against it. But that move gets him into AC-12. So I wonder if that was all designed, that he actually is corrupt, but he's just, that was a setup to get him in the door.
This is clearly impact to you, because this is the most type of research you've done on anything ever.
It is. I mean, I've watched all 6 seasons, and I've rewatched a lot of the episodes just to if you see Gogglebops and what's her name that sits with a notepad, that's me. I'm tracking them, and then once you've got a theory and you go back and you look at it with that perspective, that's when it clicks for me that it's definitely
all makes sense.
I tell you, the biggest disappointment though must have been Jenny's face when episode 7 was released, because her notebook must have been full of ideas, and like everybody who's probably a fan of Line of Duty, but she must have been disappointed when her notebook got come out at the end and it was, that's not who I expected at all. But probably more disappointed than any of the rest of us. But who knows whether it's my issue with it being, or Mark's theory, if you want to call it, with it being one of the main characters, is that they've tried that in season 4 or 5, whatever it was. 5 it was, I think. They tried targeting AC-12 as the guilty party. So I kind of feel it would be going, back the way rather than forward. However, like I say, I would have still preferred that to the ending that we got, and I hope that very much there is a season 7 that comes out of it.
I would imagine there has to be with the ratings that they got, and you're not telling me that the writer boys not making a fair bit of money, but they're not all making a fair bit of money for the BBC. So
I think that's probably why it's kind of been a bit of, because I think when they first started writing it in season 1, they didn't realise how big it was going to become. And one of the things that's probably the biggest selling point is Hastings and his funny phrases. I think that's certainly for me, that was what hooked me in. So
yeah.
he's quick with a joke, and that I think was missing in season 6 as well, where his final episode, there was none of that, and it was just kind of a bit like a car crash heading for so I don't know, but I do hope there's a season 7. Well, like I say at the start, it's not the only one that's went down that route. Your Honor, if you've watched Your Honor as well, goes down a very similar. It's probably worse, I would say, because it's you get all piped up over 10 episodes, whatever it is. It's a very intense season. And obviously they had to stop filming and stuff for COVID reasons and whatever else. And it's like when COVID happened, they just lost all sense of writing ability, and out of all the possible scenarios they could have went with in the end of that, they chose one of the worst. And I was deflated just as much as I was with Line of Duty, to be honest.
I'm only on episode 4, so I'm looking forward to the ending of that now.
Another one I've not watched.
Oh dear. But that's my theory on who it is. I'm convinced it's Steve. What do you think, Daniel? Have you got a theory?
If I was to pick somebody, I'm not sure actually. I was looking at.
You didn't believe it's the boy that they've said, though, do you?
I don't believe it's Dippy. No, I didn't believe it's him. Looking at from the season 1 and what's come out about, it had to be someone from season 1, doesn't leave an awful lot of options from who's not been tried, because obviously people like Dot and stuff like that saw Deed. So I would have loved it to have been Big Nige, just purely because I thought that would have been funny. But I don't know. There was talk about it being Mike Dryden as well, who was right in the first season or second season or whatever it was. But I don't know if I was to pick one. Who's left? I'm not sure who I would pin it on. But yeah, a strange one.
It is indeed. As I say, I'm convinced, and I know if it doesn't end that way for me, then I've just got to rewrite it and refilm it.
You've decided now.
Aye, it's got to be. That's how it ends. I'm convinced. There's been too many setups for that not to play a part, in my opinion. Because everything there's nothing in it that doesn't point to someone else. There's always a meaning behind something. Just for the last 5 or 6 seasons, again, something that you didn't pick up on in episode 2 of season 2 becomes something important in episode 6 of season 3. It's all linked back, it's all tied in. It's very well done, which is why I think we're no being shown what we're told we're being shown, in my opinion. But
what is interesting is the writers on his way of making a new program completely. So obviously that is getting parked for a wee while, and if it does come back, I think it might be more of a shock than anything. But we'll probably still tune in to his new series as long as he works on his endings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it. That even though the ending was disappointing, should they bring another season, but they're still going to have the record-breaking figures, because it does have that big an audience. As you say, when it first started, it didn't even start on BBC One. It started on BBC Two, I think, on a Wednesday night. It was the sort of time slot it had, and then it moved obviously to such a higher profile time slot. Still frustrating that it's no like the Netflix style of you get all the episodes in a oneer and you can just watch it. I think that would have probably helped with the last episode. It wouldn't have had the build up at the other ends, but it wouldn't have been so deflating if it was a case you could just watch them on a oneer.
Yeah. I think for me, because I was, not to call myself one of the bandwagon folk, but I didn't watch it when it was on BBC Two. So when it first launched, I actually think I didn't watch it till probably about 2 or 3 maybe. And by that time I was able to watch it all quite intensely and watch one after the other. That was missing certainly in season 6, and because it was one at a time, and you kind of felt, but the build up was there, because something would happen at the end of an episode and you think, well, maybe it was just me and my nosiness a day in, but it was about I need to know what happens next until that last episode, which was probably why it went downhill.
Well, I was even further behind you. So when I watched it, the whole 5 seasons were out. So I was able to just watch the whole thing. And then this was the first season for me where I had to watch it on a weekly basis. And that was, I think, what built up a lot of the hype for people was that everybody was watching it together, obviously. Like it was on Twitter, it was on Facebook. But it was a full 7 days where there was a lot of speculation and all different theories about what was going to happen. And then just the letdown at the very end. I think that compounded it. I don't think it would have been as bad had they have had it as a full season launch. But they would have missed out on a lot of the hype as well, obviously. So can see why they did it, but it's just no good for the viewer. Or me in particular.
It's interesting because before it came out, or before that episode aired, should I say, the articles were all saying, oh, it's going to be both disappointing or heartbreaking, I think the word was, and frustrating for fans. And I can now understand completely why that is. I thought that would be because maybe one of the main characters was getting killed off or whatever's happening. But yeah, I thought that summed up that last episode perfectly.
No, definitely frustrating, absolutely, because it's another year where we just no got answers and we've got more questions. At some point, it has to come full circle, and we need answers to everything. And I think that's what we thought we were getting, and it just wasn't.
You'll watch a new show next week, and then you'll forgotten all about it.
Well, I'm going back to rewatch to get more evidence of Steve. I'm building my case.
That's all he's got to watch now for the next 2 years.
Hey, never mind just throwing the fucking, what is it? Throw the book at you in the fucking bookshelf and all. By the time I've got all my evidence, a mountain of evidence.
Fella.
Exactly.
Go see an article on BBC News just shortly. Local Fife boy tries to take Big Steve for line of duty to court.
Absolutely. I will prove my case. I'm working on it. I probably spend far too much time doing that, but then I'm spending time listening to you two as well, so time's not that valuable, obviously.
We're all here, the 3 of us are here, so.
Exactly. Nothing better today on what day is it? Wednesday night? Yeah, dearie me. Yeah, well, behind the scenes, we're recording this on a Wednesday. It'll obviously go out to our listeners on a Friday, but we record all random days of the week.
Aye, because this isn't even going out this Friday. Next Friday it's going out.
Well, we hope so. Give me a wee bit more time to edit and cut all the bits that I've said stupid stuff at it. But we probably wouldn't have any content left.
2 minutes.
Oh dear. Do you have any last topic for us, Dees, before we wrap up for the week?
I'll give you we'll end on a wee daft, stupid note since we've just spoken about Daniel's away.
He's had enough. He had wrapped up and he's not.
It was that daft and that stupid. He thought, fuck this, I'm not listening to this bitch. Either way, that's my self-esteem well dented now.
Sorry, I was switching the light on.
I was getting. I've probably the same as you, Daniel. Curtains is open. I've not put the light on today, so watching it. The sun's obviously disappeared now, and it's getting dull outside. But I think I've still got enough light. But this is just a wee daft thing that as you do, keep yourself mischievous at work. I said I was going to ask a very important question, and my very important question was: seen the film Gremlins? Right, we've all seen the film Gremlins. And obviously there's rules that come with your Mogwai that you buy. Obviously you can't you can't get it wet. That's one of the rules. That's fair enough. Doesn't like bright light. Again, fair enough. And obviously sunlight would just kill it. Get that as well. That's fine. But you can't feed it after midnight. At what point does it then become safe to actually feed your Mogwai? Because surely, if you can't feed it after midnight, even a minute to midnight is written as 23:59 because it's 23 hours and 59 minutes after midnight. So my question to you two is, when is it safe and appropriate to actually feed your Mogwai?
6 a.m. I'm calling it 6 a.m. That's the start of the day. I can midnight's the start of technically the day, but for me, 6 a.m. is a cut-off.
Do you think
That's
it's
when you start
a wee 6-hour period between 12 to 6?
a cool down time, aye. Because that's at that point, if you come in late, so if you're working late or you're out late and you come in at 4, you could still get, I would say you can still get 2 hours sleep before the day starts. If you come in after 6, though, you've just lost it altogether. 6 is a cut-off, in my opinion. Arbitrarily pulled that out my arse, but that's my view.
Actually, for putting it your arse, sound it reasonably. It sounded reasonable, aye. Reasonable.
That's it. See, when,
Yeah,
when
logic
somebody
behind
says
everything.
that, 6 o'clock, you go, he's got a point there. No often does that happen, but 6 o'clock sounds to me like the right time. 4's too early. 4's clearly too early. 5, you're getting there. 7's too late. 7's far too late.
Because I did wonder if it would maybe tie in with the sunlight thing, but then of course your sunrise and when the sun sets is your sun obviously could set during the winter the back at 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm not sure if there's a connection with that, but
I think we should put a poll on this episode as well. What
well,
time?
I also wondered as a wee side thing this, do you think a Mogwai takes into account time zones? See if you buy your Mogwai in Florida and then bring it back here to the UK. When is it midnight for that Mogwai?
Well, I mean, it takes a while to adjust, so you get jet lag as well.
I'm not sure there was rules on jet lag for a Mogwai, but
Yeah, I think you need to trust this idea. See, the same as with me with Steve, trying to build the evidence. You're going to have to go and have a good think about this.
that was just
And
it's just a wee query. It's not even really a theory. It's just asking that question.
well, you need to come back. No, you've asked the question, but you need to come back with an answer. You need to think, thrash this out, and find out what is the answer. There'll be some walloper on fucking Reddit or Twitter or something that's thought of this.
Well,
It's got an answer.
I did ask somebody at my work, and they said in a quote that they wouldn't have to worry because they would never have a Mogwai in the first place because they used to get nightmares about them after they've watched the film. So
I'm going to throw in a theory just purely on a personal note that
on a
Have you got a
personal note, have you got a Mogwai?
absolutely no, but I'm going to go by the theory that they're self-sufficient. That's a word that was used to me. I was speaking to my dad over the weekend, and he says to me, because I'm a larger chap, that I am deemed to be self-sufficient. So I didn't need fed. I just eat myself inside out. That's my theory.
But you didn't go, kind of, if you've got a pet dog, you didn't go, right, you're self-sufficient, you could feed yourself now. And you're a big Labrador now, you could sort that out yourself.
Yeah, some of them I've seen they can figure out how to open the cupboard door. They could get into the snacks.
Aye.
Gooby snacks.
Aye, bouncing Buddhas.
Aye, that was my wee daft wee thing to end on there. When is it safe to feed your Mogwai?
And
I admit, I would.
six.
That was my kind of sort of line of thinking as well. It's probably between 12 and 6.
Oh no, between has to be after 6.
Eh?
Has to be after 6. Yeah,
No,
it can't be between 12 and 6.
No. I mean, you can't feed your Mogwai after midnight.
Oh,
So the cut-off is
yes.
6. So I mean, that the period for no feeding them is between 12 and 6.
See,
Come on,
aye.
keep up, you.
Well, see, in my head, the question was, when can you start feeding them? I'm pretty sure that's how you phrased it to begin with.
When was
Oh,
it safe to feed your Mogwai? That's what I'm saying. The period for no feeding them is between 12 and 6.
Aye. Well, 5:59, 6 o'clock on the dot. It's all right.
No. What? But that's where it went wrong in the film. Mind you, the tampered with his clock. I think he thought it was like only 11:30, but it turned out to be a lot later than that.
Sneaky wee bastards.
Uh,
Oh dear. Anyway, I think we've had enough nonsense for 1 week. Do you not think? We would normally do Moron of the Week, but because we've not really done news stories, I think we could just agree on the consensus. Daniel's our Moron of the Week.
I was going to say he's the guest, so it's polite to give your
Well.
guest an award.
I think so as well.
You are our Moron of the Week.
There you
Did I get a
go.
prize or a wee dunce hat or something?
It's in the
One of
post.
them anyway.
Oh dear. Right, so we'll call that on More of the Week. We'll just do a quick wrap up and say thanks for everybody for listening. If you want to keep seeing more episodes, then please look at our website, moronrants.com. Share on Facebook. We're on YouTube as well for behind the scenes how we record it. We're on Apple Podcasts by this point, fingers crossed. We are live on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts and wherever else you can find podcasts, basically. But they're on different places. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you can do. Leave us a review, leave us some comments, any feedback, anything you want us to talk about is always very helpful. We'll probably ignore it anyway and just go with what we want to do, but it's nice to have some ideas to go for. That's pretty much it from me. Just thanks for listening. Hope you listen again next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.